Fellas, picture this: you're in the store with a seemingly endless array of bread lined up before you. It sounds great, more options, more freedom, but instead, you find yourself immobilized by the sheer volume of choices. This, my friends, is the paradox of choice, where more isn't necessarily merrier. Stick around, as we dive into the essence of making decisions, transcending the overwhelm, and harnessing the power of choice to sell better, buy smarter, and elevate your life. Now, selling is an art we all engage in daily, whether you're a business owner or someone presenting an idea. Let me drop some research wisdom on you. There was an experiment with jams, one with 24 flavors, another with just 6. Attraction wasn't the issue, but when it came down to purchasing, a mere 3% bought from the 24 assortment, versus a whooping 30% from the 6 selection. That's telling, isn't it? Transfer this to restaurants with extensive menus, and you'll see the ploy. Overwhelm you, then offer a few specials, streamlining your choice, boosting their profits. They're playing chess, not checkers, with your decision fatigue. Let's switch gears to a more personal domain: personal development through reading. If I threw a list of 200 books at you, chances are you'd freeze like a deer in headlights. But what if I cut that list down to an elite few, say 10? Suddenly, the decision is much more approachable, and taking action becomes a no-brainer. Here's a life hack for you. Minimize paralysis by simplifying your choices. Take breakfast, for instance. Rather than concocting a new gourmet dish every day, have a go-to meal that gets you going without the unnecessary morning conundrum. Now, let's segue into actionable advice for those of you keen to swim rather than sink in this ocean of options. Understanding the paradox of choice isn't just about acknowledging it, it's about strategic simplification in an increasingly complex world. Here's how you can apply these insights. 1. Identify areas of overwhelm. Figure out where you feel most stymied by choice in your personal and professional life. Is it while shopping, investing, or perhaps when facing the wardrobe each morning? 2. Prioritize and eliminate. Once you've identified these areas, it's time to be ruthless. Prioritize your options based on what truly aligns with your values and goals, and don't be afraid to trim down the excess. 3. Establish a go-to list. Whether it's a personal uniform like Steve Jobs or a set weekly menu, create a reliable, streamlined selection to rely on, freeing up your mental bandwidth for the decisions that truly matter. 4. Apply the rule of 5, limit choices to a top 5 list whenever possible. This applies to features in a new product you're selling, potential investments, or even nightly dinner options. 5. Embrace good enough. Forget optimal, embrace satisficing. This is making a choice that meets your criteria and moving on, rather than anguishing over finding the perfect pick. 6. Systematize routine decisions. For daily tasks, create systems that bypass indecision. Meal prepping, standardized workouts, and automated bill payments come to mind. 7. Be wary of choice snowballs. Recognize situations where one choice could lead to an avalanche of decisions and opt for the simpler path when appropriate. 8. Explore constraints as freedom. Instead of seeing constraints as limitations, reframe them as a form of freedom. Constraints can liberate you from the paralysis that unlimited choices bring. 9. Simplify the customer experience. If you're in the business game, limit your offerings. Fewer, high-quality options showcased clearly and concisely will lead to better sales. Now, as we've ridden this roller coaster of choices together, it's essential to ground these insights in reality. Look at choices not as anchors but as stepping stones to a more focused, fulfilling life. Remember, gents, by subscribing and ringing that bell, you're propelling yourself towards achieving these objectives and reaping the benefits we've explored today. Before we wrap up, pause for a moment. What choices will you streamline to claim back your time and energy? Consider this as you go about your day. How will you apply the power of choice? For those who have gleaned value from these insights, you're welcome to express your appreciation with a symbolic gesture. Find that handy link in the description. Here's to choosing wisely, making each day count, and relishing the simplicity on the other side of complexity. Cheers to refining the art of decision-making. Signing off until next time. Greetings, gentlemen. Today we're diving into the unspoken symphony that orchestrates your day-to-day life, music. Visualize those moments when melodies transform the mundane into magic, when chords conjure nostalgia, and rhythms revitalize your resolve. In 2023, our lives are underscored by an omnipresent soundtrack, but have you truly tuned into music's influence on both the brain and the brawn? Now, let us unravel this sonic tapestry. The average individual is steeped in an astonishing 24 hours of melodic immersion weekly, parsing time across radios, streaming platforms, and their personal hoard of tunes. Unbelievably, in America alone, 276 million souls synchronize their daily rhythms with the broadcasted beats. Picture this. 13 years, that's the amount of one's life, on average, enveloped purely in musical reverie, as per scholarly insights. A duality emerges within music's embrace, the act of listening versus the art of creating. Though an 18 million strong contingent in the US brandishes instruments, the collective number tuned in dwarfs that figure. Even if your fingers have never danced on piano keys, fear not. Both listening and playing pack a cognitive punch. Let's consider first how a melody might mold your mental milieu. A cheerful tune could very well draw a smile, while somber symphonies summon shades of sorrow. Crucially, the transformation music calls for an earnest yearning from within. Idle ears reap none of its rich rewards. The Harvard-led observation of Tibetan monks illustrates this profoundly, demonstrating the sheer might our minds wield over matter. Taking it further, when musical notes strike a chord with you, dopamine dispatches through your brain, delivering a delightful dose of contentment. Simultaneously, a riff can resonate with your very productivity, spawning the so-called Mozart effect. Be it the classical composer or Johnny Cash, if you're invested, your output optimizes. Yet, music's medley with memory is perhaps its most mystical trait. Tunes tether to life's landmarks, encoding emotions into echoes heard long after events ebb into the past. Why this happens rests on the brain's penchant for preserving auditory impressions with profound potency. Harnessing harmony extends beyond the cerebral. It galvanizes the gusto you pour into work or workouts. The tempo of tracks tick like a metronome for our movements, and the symphony that greets the ear orchestrates a physiological response encompassing heart rate, blood pressure, and stamina. Shifting our focus to fingers fretting on strings, the plucking of instruments paints an equally potent picture for the brain. Engagement and enthusiasm are instrumental here. Without them, the brain's symphony stalls. The passion for the process primes a plethora of perks: bolstered verbal memory, enhanced elasticity of the mind, refined motor skills, and more. It's fascinating that this auditory art form can fine-tune the fiber of our brains, enhancing connections, particularly when pursued in the prime of childhood. The advent of the fMRI bore revelations. Music marshals myriad sections of the brain in a cooperative dance unseen in any other activity. Our takeaway? Never dismiss tunes as mere trifles of pleasure or ambient accompaniments. Whether boosting brain power, battling blues, building stamina, or simply seeking a sonic sanctuary, sounds shape and serve our existence in profound ways. Now, as we crescendo towards a close, I extend gratitude to our collaborating craftsmen, who adorned this script with insights. If newfound wisdom resonates within you, if you've discovered unexpected chords of curiosity striking within your mind, do more than merely nod to the rhythm, smash that like button and subscribe. Make this channel your cantata of continued enlightenment. And gentlemen, as you march forward to the beat of your own drum, I leave you with a challenge. What melodies will you harmonize with your hustle? How will you orchestrate your life's opus with the power of music? Share the actions that will echo from today's revelations into the grand composition that is your life. For those who finds value in this symphonic sojourn through melodies and mindsets, consider leaving a token of appreciation. It's through your support that this content crescendos in value. You'll find a link in the description. Thank you, gentlemen, for tuning in. May your days be rich in rhythm and rife with the harmonious hustle of a life well lived.